what's life like at base camp? It's, a lot of people have seen these photographs, and I won't dwell on it, sorry, these sorts of photographs. Base camp is like a mini city, and people who trek to base camp, whilst I love the trek in, I often wonder why would you want to go to base camp, because it really is a bit of a mess, generally. But it is actually built on, sorry, I'm just having a bit of trouble, built on snow and ice and moraine, and what you really don't want to do is to pitch a tent under something that looks like that, because that's a rock perching on ice. Take note of that little blue tent down the bottom there, because we'll be coming back to that one later. Essentially, life at base camp is pretty luxurious compared to what else happens further up the mountain. As you can see from this photograph, we had iPods, we had iPads, DVDs, games, lots of Scrabble, great food, and it was really warm. Each of us had our own individual tent, and it was generally a very pleasant place to be, and again another place to get to bond with our team members. You spend a lot of time fiddling with your kit, so even though things you thought were working perfectly when you left home, there's always something to be done. This is Easter Sunday, and we didn't scrimp on having a bit of fun. These were all our Hello Kitties that we were given with lovely chocolates inside the Easter Sunday. Another question that I'm often asked is how much training do I need to do? And that's normally prefaced by, do I need to go to the gym or run for 6 months or 12 months? And I tend to tell people, training, you actually get fit on the walk in. I mean, other people might disagree with me here. But, if you do a certain amount of trekking, it's less about physical fitness and more about the skills required. I had come from a beach environment, as I described, and for me, it was 8 years before that, I'd sort of fallen in love with the mountains and tried to spend as much time as I could in the mountains. All of this added up to experience that I know that I needed and was glad of by the time I got to Everest. Not necessarily that was used at the time, but just in case there was an emergency, I knew I would be self-sufficient. So I spent all those 8 years, every holiday I had pretty well, either ski mountaineering in Europe or in Scotland, ice climbing and rock climbing in the Lake District where I live, ice climbing in Norway, in Ryukin. And as we were saying before, Amadabnum was probably the other big mountain that I had climbed, or at least attempted. I climbed, but didn't summit. It's the most technical of all of the so-called trekking peaks, and does require quite a lot of physical skill to climb. But it's absolutely beautiful and generally regarded as one of the most beautiful mountains. Again, it was 150 metres from the top when I decided that really that was as far as I wanted to go in order to get down safely. I'd become very sick with altitude sickness, which I started to get at about 2,500 metres. Everybody thinks it's very amusing, but when you're climbing Everest, you've got a couple of months to acclimatise. When you're climbing something like Amadabnum, it's a 2 or 3 week trip, and I was certainly well off the pace. That's Camp 2, which is slightly airy, as Steve Swenson described a couple of his previous camps. And this is Dorje, I think, who also coincidentally was on Everest with us as well. So, on to my favourite subject, clothes. Now, when someone says to me, here's $10,000 US, go out and buy some clothes, I have visions of designer, kind of bags. I have visions of carrying lots of bags with designers' names on them, and generally looking pretty fabulous by the end of it. This is me modelling the very fetching outfit and about $10,000 worth of kit, one way or another. The lovely down suit was actually designed by Conrad Anker on behalf of a well-known company called the North Face. Consequently, it was quite an unusual fit because Conrad Anker and I don't have a lot in common physically. But they don't make women's down suits, unfortunately, so you kind of do the best with what you can.